time. Thank you for that. Brooke, would you like to introduce Deborah Meier?
Yes, good morning, Deborah.
Good morning.
So Deborah Meier has worked in public education for a number of years as a principal, as a teacher, and as a writer and an advocate. She was the founder of many schools and redesigned 2 large failing high schools and dozens of small public schools. She's currently a senior scholar at NYU's Steinhardt School of Education and serves on the board of the Coalition of Essential Schools. So, Deborah, you have some insight into what's going on here in our city from a number of different perspectives.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's so much to say.
There is. So
I'm flummoxed sometime when I listen to Diane and I listen to the last speaker. I just breaks my heart. So
well, in your essay in the book, it's called New York City Schools, Then and Now. So tell us a little bit about your essay and why you're flummoxed.
Well, first of all, I'm just running to look at some notes I was making while listening to Diane. And I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name of the second speaker.
Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. First of all, there's a misreading of the history of education. But since one of the frustrating things to me is the lack of voice in any of the political decisions made about education by the people closest to it, by people who send their own kids to public schools, by public school teachers, principals, historians. It's as though the only thing that matters is that you made a lot of money and that you're an expert in either finance or law. That's our latest interpretation of the best and the brightest, and expertise in your particular work doesn't matter much. It's a bad message to send to kids about the importance of good work in the field. But, I hear all the time about the corruption of the local school boards, and no doubt there was. I worked in East Harlem, and I'm sure there was corruption. But on the scale that is minor compared to the corruption of having unbid contracts of the size and dimension and unreviewability that we have under the mayor. So even in the areas where we were weakest in the past, certainly in the question of empowering principals, it's pointless to claim you're empowering principals when you control all the evaluation of them, and where you control their future lives, and then to claim that they feel more empowered. Besides which, empowerment doesn't refer just to teachers, but to the whole community of a school, to its parents, its teachers, and its children. And that's, when I speak of an empowered school, I'm talking about an empowered community. And we now have utterly powerless communities, our schools. They might tomorrow find out they've been closed, but there's just reading about a school in Brooklyn which is being shared in the future by districts 12 and 13, and they're emptying the school and leaving some neighborhood kids who will come in one door, and then on the other side of the building there will be other kids who come in the other door, and one is 99% black and Latino, and the other is 99% white. When I think of the efforts when I first came to New York, the petty efforts we made to desegregate schools, and realize what's happened in New York, by a mayor who uses the word, and Chancellor who uses the word equity every time he makes a move, adds more gifted classes that he knows will be 90% white under the name of equity. It just, the hypocrisy of the politics of education in New York distresses me. So but it's above all that you can't educate kids well in communities, and I'm speaking of the school as a community now, in a community that has been deprived of respect and a voice in decisions about its own future.
Well, I think
so
a lot of...
I could go on and on, but I just feel that we've been, and Diane has covered the data stuff, every time you elevate a particular piece of data to such enormous importance, the test score is going to decide your pay for next year. You tell kids they're going to get a few $100s if their scores go up. you tell us, when did you do that? You corrupt that piece of data. And we have sociologists and political scientists and philosophers have known this for thousands of years, but apparently Klein and Bloomberg don't understand what high stakes based on unexamined data
Thank you.
does to the data itself.
Thank you very much. I would ask all of our guests to stay on the line. We need to take a station break.